Hello and welcome back to another one of Paul's Beer Reviews. I hope you're all doing well today. I have got a juicy pale ale for you to review. It's from Glen Affric Brewery and it is a collaboration with my mate Simon from the Real Ale Craft Beer channel. I'm sure most of you will be familiar with his YouTube channel. He's got a massive following. Lovely bloke from Barry Island in Wales. And this is their Brighter Days Ahead Juicy Pale Ale, coming in at 4.8% ABV. As ever, Glen Affric with some beautiful artwork on their cans. The photography they use for their artwork is absolutely stunning. It's a beautiful sunset, which I can only assume has been taken off the coast of one of Scotland's beautiful lochs. That just looks stunning. I want to be there. It looks fantastic. So yeah, a 4.8% ABV Juicy Pale Ale it's been described as. It says a rebrew of our collab with Simon from the Real Ale Craft Beer YouTube channel. Yeah, this is the second iteration of this, I do believe. It says it's a hazy, juicy beer brewed with extra pale malt, torrefied wheat and flaked oats for added body. Hopped with Sabro Incognito and Citra Cryo for a pronounced hit of peach, coconut, lychee and passion fruit. Ingredients. It doesn't list the ingredients, it just says that it's got malted barley, wheat and oats for allergy sufferers. But yeah, Glen Affric in Birkenhead, up Liverpool way. Simon did a live from their brewery a couple of weeks back with our friend John from Lords and a few of YouTube's finest. Captain Meat was up there. There was one or two others that were up there as well, having a few beers. It looked like a good laugh. So ordered a few beers from them. So they came very quickly. Really impressed with the Glen Affric service. Very sharp. So yeah, let's get this beer out of its can into a glass. The Paul's Beer Review chalice, to be exact. And we'll see if it's any good, shall we? I hope it's good. I hope it's good. It's certainly hazy, juicy looking on the pour, that's for sure. I'll leave that there so we can see that. Beautiful artwork. I do really like that. That's lovely. But here's the beer. Hazy, juicy looking, pale orange in colour. It's sort of maintaining half a finger of a creamy looking white head on it. You can tell straight away there's oats in there. Let's stick my snout in. See what the aroma's telling us. Oh, smells nice. That smells nice. That's a good start. You hit straight away with a subtle tropical aroma. Pineapple, passion fruit, orange. I can smell more of a Citra influence on the aroma than I can with the Sabro. I wonder if the Sabro is going to come through on the flavour. It smells, there's a bit of vanilla on the aroma, but that's just coming from the oat malts. But it does smell like quite a heavy pale ale. There's a lot going on with it. It smells very inviting. Let's get stuck in, shall we? Cheers. It's quite malty. It's quite malty. The oats and the wheat are giving it kind of a slightly vanilla. Well, I say slight vanilla. A strong vanilla. Subtle tropical sweetness at the beginning. Doesn't hang around often. Doesn't hang around very long though. It's a subtle hoppy bitter finish to it. Quite gentle though. I think the aroma, the tropical fruit you're getting on the aroma, it's not quite backed up by the flavour for me. There's a lot of body to it. The wheat and the oats make it very smooth, full-bodied, slightly creamy, slight bitterness at the back end, which is quite nice. It's a kind of a subtle tropical, citrusy sweetness to that with the bitterness at the back end. And it hangs around for a little while as well, which is quite nice. But there's not a lot up front with this beer, if I'm honest. That sweetness, the tropical aroma, doesn't follow up with the flavour. There's no sweetness. There's no big tropical hit from the hops at the forefront of the palate. Just doesn't really come. There's a tiniest bit. Let me go in again. No, there's just not a lot up front. It's well carbonated. The carbonation levels on it is quite nice. It makes it very drinkable. There's a balance to it. There's nothing unpleasant about this beer. But it's just not, for me, it's just not doing enough to call itself a juicy pale ale. I don't think it's particularly juicy. I'm not getting that juicy sweetness up front that you do get with a lot of juicy pales and IPAs and things like that. Yeah, there's very little in the way of juice coming through, I would say, personally. There's a bit of pineapple, a bit of grapefruit. And it's all about the malts. It's all about the mid palate. Slightly vanilla-y, slightly creamy from oats and vanilla. Oats and the wheat in there, it gives off, it's more about the body than it is the hops on this beer for me. And at the back end, you're left with sort of a combination of those two elements. You're left with a subtle tropical and citrus bitterness, a little bit of grapefruit that kind of lingers in the flavour. The sweetness from that little bit of pineapple you get at the front, it's very much gone now. I'm left with a combination of sort of a vanilla creamy flavour and a bit of grapefruit at the back end. It's very drinkable. The bitterness to it is very gentle. It doesn't leave any sort of, there's no dankness, there's no strong bitterness at the back end, there's nothing lingering that's particularly unpleasant. It's balanced, but from start to finish for me, the beer is subtle. It's gentle. I think that is the best way to describe it. It's the nicest way to describe it, if I'm honest. It's very drinkable. It's very easy drinking. I could happily do a couple of cans of this. But it's not very memorable. In fact, it's quite forgettable, if I'm honest. I'm trying to be nice here. I don't want to knock it. It's not a bad beer by any stretch. I just think when you write juicy pale ale on a can, I just expect a little bit more. Just a little bit more. But it's very drinkable. It's very well made. I love the body to it. I love the use of the malt, the wheat and the oats. Gives it really nice body. But I just think maybe the malt has somewhat blunted. If that's the right choice of words. I think it's somewhat blunted the sharpness and the character of the hops on it a little bit. I'm not getting a lot of Citra. I'm definitely not getting much in the way of Sabro. I'm not really getting any sort of tangerine flavour. I'm not really getting any coconut. No, I'm not really getting much of either. I think the malt cancels out the hops for me. But again, it's very, I mean, I've nearly polished it off. It's very drinkable. There's nothing unpleasant about this beer whatsoever. It's actually quite pleasant. But I just would have liked a little bit more. I would have liked a little bit more sharpness from the hops, a little bit more hoppy character, and maybe just rein in the malt character a little bit. Yeah, it would have been nice to have a bit more hop character in this beer. But other than that, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly drinkable. It's not one to remember for me. Not one to remember. I've had better beers from Glen Affric, and I'm sure Simon would agree with that. I'm going to give it a score for what it's worth. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I would drink it again. I'd like to have this on keg. I'd be interested in having this one on keg from the brewery and see if it takes on any more character. But for me, I'm just not getting enough from the hops on this one. But it's very well made. It's good quality. The malts have done a lovely job with the malts. Just maybe they went a bit overboard. That's just my personal opinion anyway. So it's a 6 out of 10 for me for Glen Affric's Brighter Days Ahead, their collab with Simon. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Give it a thumbs up if you have. And until my next one, you take care.